What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how I craft this card for a little gag at a birthday. So, let's start. So, as you can see, I'm already in my drawing program, and like in the last time I did something like this, I'm sketching it out in my digital program first. So that it's way easier to draw and it saves a lot of time. You see, my friend is going to turn 20, so of course I had to put a 20 on the cake. And this ghost face drawing was pretty hard, like his mask was pretty hard to get right. But I had a reference picture. The thing is, I know that his knife doesn't look that big, but it just worked with the perspective because I made the reference picture myself and I only had this knife laying around. So I kept it this big, and it's not Ghostface's original knife, he just has a butcher knife or something. I'm sorry for that, but that's just how it's going to look now. So my friend is a pretty big horror fan. I also like horror characters, like for example I love playing Dead by Daylight. We play Dead by Daylight a lot together, and yeah, so I thought making a funny card would be great for a birthday present. Of course, it's not going to be the only present I'm going to give her. Don't worry about this. I have an A4 paper as a canvas. You can select this in Ibis Paint, so that when you print it out, you actually have it on a paper, like perfectly. You saw me having a bunch of rectangles on the screen. That's how I made out where the middle of the paper would be. So in a card you have two sides, right? So you can open it. So I basically decided, yeah, here's the middle, so I'm gonna put a small ghost face there and then actually a drawing there. The ghost face that I'm drawing right now looks really bad. Even in the end result I don't really like it. But nobody's going to see the back of the card, you know. And like I said, it's supposed to be funny, so who cares if it looks good or not. I'm struggling a lot with this face right now. Because I tried to make it look cute, but I have no experience in drawing cute things. Like, if you ask me to draw a cat, I cannot for the life of me draw any animals and make them look cute. I'm not able to do that. Here I flip the canvas and I'm like, damn, he's lopsided, so I tried to fix that. Here you can see my printer. I whipped out a page from my sketchbook, so I can have a good quality paper. And I also made the drawing in a gray color, so that when I draw over it with watercolors, the ink from the printer doesn't fade out. You know, when you have like... So having this gray color is actually better than having black ink from the printer. Here you can see I have just a random piece of cardboard. This specific piece of cardboard is from a college blog of mine. I always use those because these cardboards are pretty thin. I don't have any cards. That's why I'm doing it out of paper and I'm out of cardboard. It will be a little thick in the end, but it works honestly. Here I'm just gluing my drawing on. And I'm going to cut the top part of it off, of course, but for drawing I'm gonna leave it on. And here I'm adding water to my paper. Here I'm putting just watercolor on to make a nice texture, I guess. I wanted to make it obviously that it's watercolors. My English right now isn't that great because it's 7 a.m. in the morning and I just woke up. I'm adding more and more to it. In the end, I think I should have just made it like a solid color, but honestly it works. It's fine. And now after I did that, I have to wait until it dries. Which takes a long time. And I'm gonna splatter this on my ghost face. Yep, I'm going to remove this though it doesn't affect the end result. Don't worry. So here it's dry and I'm going to start coloring in ghost face. I'm only using watercolors, acrylic pens and acrylic paints. But for the character himself, I'm drawing him with watercolors, just using straight up black. The thing is, it's really important in the end that you only use like solid paints that won't reactivate with water. Like for example, gouache paints, they reactivate with water and you don't want to use these if you are also doing a card like I am. Here I am adding more purple and blue to make it look more interesting. Because just having a black ghost face is a kind of, it looks kind of boring, so I put a bunch of purple in there and a bunch of blue. And I'm gonna emphasize this in later when I'm working on it. Here I don't know what I'm doing honestly. I'm drawing again, finally. I should have cut this out honestly, I don't know why I didn't do that. Here I'm adding the blue. Like I said, with watercolors you can have great transitions. So I would suggest you make it while the paint is still wet. The thing with black is, if you like draw it with acrylic paint, it just looks dull, it just looks flat because it's one solid color. So here with the glove you can also see I'm putting blue and then black. The blue is basically the highlight, the black is a normal color. I'm also adding purple because, well, I added purple anywhere else, so I thought it would be fine to do it there as well. And here I'm doing the same thing to the other ghost face. I'm using black, purple and blue. It's the same process. I will not add colors inside the hood yet, because it will just flow into the other part because it's watercolors. So I'm waiting until it's dry to actually put a darker color in there. When you have black clothes, you always want to shade like with gray, but I think shading with purple and blue gives it more, it looks more interesting to say the least. And here I'm going over it with watercolors again to make like darker shadows, so it has some values and it's not just a huge blob of paint. And here I'm using my acrylic paint pens. You don't really need them, you can also do this with watercolors, but I like the control of the brush nib better, so I'm using this. Also, these pens are really cheap. I have like 24 colors for 4 euros. So you don't need expensive materials to make art, you know. You can also just use regular acrylic paint. But like I said, I like the markers way more because I have more control with them. And here I'm just adding shades to the ghost face mask, make it look crisp. I always put like lighter shades and then darker shades. And then I'm adding the black, which makes a lot of difference. I like they did not leave it that gray. Also, another perk to making the printer ink gray is basically you don't waste that much ink because it's gray, it's not straight up black. And like I said, it's only supposed to be guidelines so I can draw faster. If I would have drawn this on paper, it would have taken way more time. I would have erased a lot. But doing it digitally was the best choice in my opinion. And here I'm adding the inside of the hood. I was like debating if I should make it like a bright color to give like color variation. But instead I chose to make it dark. Because the ghost face mask is already white. So if I put like an orange in there to make it look interesting, it will just look like it's part of the background. And it won't really help with the ghost face mask. Because like I said, it's already white, so it has this variation of color already. It doesn't need the help to make the silhouette work. Like I said, the second ghost face is bad. I don't like this. I had a hard time trying to make it look somewhat good. And in the end, I don't like it. But like I said, it's the back of the card. And this is not a serious drawing. It's just a funny little gag I wanna have for a birthday. Like I'm gonna add later a funny sentence that I asked ChatGPT. Like what would be a slasher horror birthday sentence? And it gave me a really cringy and stupid sentence. But because, well, she's my friend, I thought this would be really funny. Don't worry, these red cheek things, I'm gonna make them look better in the end. They won't stay like this. And here I'm just adding I'm adding more shadows with my acrylic pens. Like I said, they're really cheap. I'm just adding color variation basically. Because the blue you couldn't really see that through the black, so I decided to add more. And while I was doing that, I can also add more purple. And here I'm outlining it. Outlining it with watercolors is really gonna make it look crisp. Because if you use watercolors, it kind of looks like it's washed out. I am not a watercolor artist. I just like to draw with. I like to draw with watercolors, but mostly with gouache. So I'm not a professional when it comes to watercolors. Yeah, I decided to count the fingers because I was like, wait, do I have 5 fingers? Please tell me I have 5 fingers. I did have 5 fingers in the end, but I was worried for a second that I forgot to add the 5th one. And here I'm adding more purple. You know, I'm on the debate. I think it would have been better if I made the background like a solid color. But I also like the watercolor look of the background. And I really wasn't sure at all. Like in the end, I'm still not sure if I should add like a solid background. Here I'm drawing the cake. I have never drawn a cake in my life, except when I was like a child or something, I don't know. but for real, I never do a cake, so I was like, what do cakes actually look like? I just made it brown because I already had every other color in there. So I was like, I don't know, chocolate cake. Chocolate cake is brown, so brown cake. I didn't know what color I wanted the 20 to look like, so I was like, what colors did I already use? And what colors didn't I use? And I didn't use yellow for anything yet, so I decided making it yellow will make it stand out more. In the end, it's gonna look more like orange and yellow. So the dark color, I'm gonna go over it again. By the way, I have a new microphone and I'm on the debate if it sounds better or if it sounds the same. Like, I spent a bunch of money on this microphone and I'm not entirely sure if it sounds better than my old one. So if you notice any difference, you can write me that in the comments, I would appreciate it. Because I don't have OBS, that's my problem. And because I don't have OBS, I cannot add filters to my microphone. You essentially need filters to make it to make it sound more crisp. I'm trying to figure out if I can do it without OBS, you know. Here I'm drawing, I don't know what it's called, whipped cream. I don't even know. I'm not a cake maker, I only make dry cakes for birthdays. Here I'm outlining everything to make it look better, like I said. If you draw with watercolors, I would really tell you to outline your drawings. It doesn't have to be with black, you can also outline it with colored pencil. That works really great as well to make it look more like pastel and more cutesy. But I like black outlines because I don't know. I don't know why I added the orange there. I'm going to leave it until the end, but I don't know if the orange in the cake will look great. Here I decided to add blood splatters because, well, it's Ghostface. So if you also want to do that in case you don't know how to do this, you just take your brush, put a bunch of water on it, take the color you want, and then just like spray it on there. And here's a really important step, I'm using a colored pencil to refine the drawing, to add more shadows and to amplify the blue and the purple more. Here I'm adding the text, you cannot see it that well. I can blend it in as well. It basically says, have a killer birthday. Just remember, cake is for eating, not stabbing. And like I said, this is really cringe, but it's funny. Because it's cringe. Here I'm cutting it off. Because, well, it's supposed to be a card. And the thing is, you can totally do this without the cardboard, but then it will be really flimsy, and I honestly haven't found a thinner cardboard than this. And the thing is, because it's just a funny gag and a birthday card, it doesn't even have to look that great. Like the second Ghostface looks really awful and I don't know how to fix it without like redrawing everything. So you're just gonna have to live with it. And here you can see my black acrylic paint. This is the inside of the card. And you can probably already guess. I'm putting black paint on there and painting it. And the thing is, you can use any color you want. But if you use black, you have to have a white pen or a metallic pen to write your message inside. Because this is the inside of the card. And if you want to write something personal in there, which I will do, and I won't show this because, well, it's personal, and I don't want anyone on the internet to be able to read that, then I would suggest you use another color. I unfortunately only had this cardboard lying around that's thin enough. So it's blue, that's why I'm using black to cover it up more. But you can also color it white, but it takes way more layers. And I think a black card looks more interesting. I'm just spreading it. I use 2 coats actually. I use 2 coats. But you can see that my brush is going underneath the card. This is really bad. You're going to see this in just a minute. But I used 2 coats to cover up the blue. It's not that hard, honestly. It just took a long time to dry. And always use something underneath your card because it's acrylic paint, it's hard to get off. And here you can see I accidentally colored on the card, and I'm really mad about this. So in the last minute decision I decided to add a black outline to the card. I think it looks better in the end with the black outline. But since it's watercolor, so I cannot paint over it with gouache, you know. So I can't like remove the black stains, so I was like, just make more black. It looks, I don't know, it looks more artist-like, I don't know. And because I had this really big black blob there, I decided to put it on different sides of the card as well to make it match more, I guess. Like Bob Ross said, there are only happy accidents, there are no mistakes. And basically you doing this all over the card so it looks cohesive. And here I'm adding really loose lines to make it more artisty. And here you can see a card that I made, and you can see that it's really shiny and it's smooth. And I did that with glue. So I'm just adding glue on top of the card. Make sure it's dry before you do this. And you use like 3 or 4 coats of this to make it smooth and look shiny. I've had this Albert Wesker card that I made for like 2 years now, and it's totally fine with the glue on top of it. It isn't sticky, it's just smooth. And because cards are really smooth, I decided to also do this, and it also gives you a protective layer over it. So if you want to have a shiny card, I would suggest you do this, but you do need more coats. Like I made like 4 or 5. I don't know how I even figured this out, but I really wanted to have this Wesker card without paying like 10 euros to get it from like, I don't know, Amazon or something. I'm a really big Resident Evil fan, by the way. Like I said, you just need more codes.